My name is Jiles Smith, and welcome to Our Community. Welcome, Mr. Lovingood, to our show.
Giles, thank you. I like being here and I appreciate your time.
Robert, could you list your major accomplishments during the first term?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the number one is helping streamline the event of creating measurables for the constituents to see within government. And I share with that, we have brought the county budget in line, under forecast, ahead of time. We've addressed issues of pension shortfalls. So when I look at the fact, and you look within the state of California, and you look at pension obligations, and you realize anybody that has a plus 80% funding is at a high measure of success. San Bernardino County making tough choices, we're at 84%. And that's financial security for the constituents and the people that live in the high desert, and also those that have earned their retirement. And that's a vested right that they have, and we're taking care of those. And we're working on infrastructure on a daily basis. We have a number of projects that are going to be funded this and the following year. We have projects that have been funded this year. Do we have a long ways to go? Yes. When you leave the fact that we're living within a state where Sacramento takes your tax dollars to help someone buy an electric car, so they'll give you a credit when your income tax for someone to buy an electric car, and then wonder why our gas tax revenue is going down and shrinking, and we can't take care of our roads. We have to, one, work at the level to push things to Sacramento, to advocate for those changes, and we have a record in the 3.5 years of serving the constituents of the high desert of doing just that, of advocating on common sense changes that are going to improve the quality of infrastructure and public safety.
What drives you to public service?
You know, it's fascinating. I think it's really the desire to give to others. When I look at this at the end of the day, I think we all have an obligation to the people that we represent, no matter where they come from in life. And when I say that, I can share with you, if it's a homeless issue to a Fortune 500 company, we're going to treat people fairly. And I say that, we have that responsibility. I like saying this is one of the few jobs, when you go back, we take an oath. Okay, and I mean, that oath is something I take seriously and something I perform to. But with that, it doesn't say that you're only going to take care of one set. It says you're going to take care of the constituents within the first district, 15,100 square miles, 418,000 roughly, 410. Let's say 410. Someone might call me out and say, no, it's 409, but I believe it's 410,000. So, not picking through this, but the reality of it is it's taking each and every person. Look, we've done great things. We've worked hard with homelessness. We've driven it down. We've worked with the director of VA. We had the director McDonald down here talking about the fact that not only we set a goal for homeless veterans, we exceeded that goal. Do we have room for improvement in that area? Absolutely. How are we going to make the hard decisions but yet balance? We talk about job creation. Key number one. If we look at the Inland Empire, the greatest between San Bernardino and Riverside County, the greatest increase in opportunities recorded in history, third highest, over 25,000 jobs between the two counties. Over 500 direct jobs have been created out here. But if we go into jobs that have been saved, you move that number to 1,500, and someone will probably say, okay, no, it's 1,422. But my thing is, we've just come through a major, really, depression. We're turning that back out. Let's go back and, your question still, how do we fix things? We worked hard in funding scraped up dollars, and I say that, hard dollars to come about, and we gave them to the sheriff. We gave them to Sheriff McMahon. What have we done? We increased crime sweeps. What are those crime sweeps? What have they resulted in? Over 1,600 felony arrests, drugs, guns, and money being taken off the street. And we're going to continue that effort. We're going to continue to work to ensure that, one, our district attorney is successful, two, our sheriff is successful, because working collaboratively, you conquer more. And I can say I'm proud of our efforts that we've done. Will we continue to work and strive for those? Will we work to improve them? Absolutely. As the economy grows stronger, more resources will be given to public safety, more will be given to infrastructure. But it's all part of being on target with your goals and looking to serve the constituents.
You did mention the homeless issue. I thought your website talked about the homeless issue was basically down 12%. Is that correct?
Across the board. It is. And when I say that, and then as I said, I mentioned if we go back and we slice into the veterans, we'll see within the veterans we've exceeded the goals, and that's why Director McDonald came out and met with us. Still do we have this? I think the really hard decision that we're all starting to realize is that we have to increase mental services, because this is a real challenge, and we can't. It's one of the difficult things, and when I say that, I think for most individuals to really understand that if it's left untreated, we can't afford the social cost. And when I say the social cost, you can't have the crimes, you can't incarcerate. If you look at the entire photo, it's great just to say, we'll make it go away. If it was that simple, it would have already happened. But we really have to look at the issue and realize that treatment can stabilize, and once stabilized, how do we really get them on that corrective path to being successful? And that's an outreach and an effort, and we can no longer just say we're going to incarcerate.
That's very interesting you said that, and I know when you're in office is really, you have a bunch of objectives that you want to meet, some key objectives. Could you list some of the key objectives that you basically didn't get a chance to?
Oh, absolutely. We're technical training. This has been a passion of ours. Yeah. We are closer to having that accomplished, but that's through partnerships. That's working with our public institution to really bring in a very dynamic program that was actually, I can look at my peers now, that was created. We have California Steel, major provider with a major employer in San Bernardino County. They first went to Chafee and started hiring directly out of Chafee's class. It was real interesting. So they were walking into a technical training program, hiring half that class to finish school, and agreed to come to work with them. At a substantial cost. And I mean, so you had individuals expecting an income, receiving that income while they're still in school. But that really drives the need for more and more technical training. If we look at our regional occupation programs within the county, a really hidden jewel, you'll see that when young folks have the interest to get in a vocation, they have staggering results of success. So if you look at someone who goes in an ROP program, be it maintenance, mechanical, nursing, banking, finance, and they go through that program through high school, and then you look 4 years later, they've continued that education, typically to include that which would be equivalent to an AA degree. Then if you look 10 years out, they're still in that profession. So when I say that, not everyone's going to end up being a doctor, not everyone's going to be an engineer, but we have to look at these needs, and that really drove the success of California Steel, because they needed industrial electrical, they need welders, they need maintenance, they need people to help make the world go around with their steel product, which is amazing if you ever get to go see what they do. At the old Kaiser Steel product, right. And amazing. So we have to collectively still focus on, because the desert, and I love saying this, and I say this, and we talked about this a little earlier, I'm 58, okay? There's 10 million of me leaving the workforce in the next 10 years. There's not enough throughput from the schools to provide the backfill for those positions. All developed nations are under the same struggle. China lifted their birth rate a year ago to 2. And it wasn't because they woke up one day and felt like we're going to be more encouraging than what we were. It's they have an aging workforce the same as America. So most of Malaysia, Europe, and we're going to have to work at growing our own, not only through birth, but through school.
Well, is there waste, fraud, and abuse in the county? And if so, what has been done to deal with it?
Well, the biggest thing I feel the most compassion is one we're involved in right now. Won't go into the details, but it's addressing what was raised up in the community as what we're seeing and vetting through is basically entitlement abuse within programs of support, direct support. So we're in that process, but I can share with you what we will do is where we find it, we'll eliminate it. We're working closely with our district attorney. Once that's identified, I can promise you we'll see a return in the increase in prosecution, because my belief is if someone's cheating, then they're taking money from someone who should have it. And if they shouldn't have it, we're going to find a way to take away from them. You know, the county outsourced to the FPPC, basically our own monitoring. So, you know, that was done when I came into office. That's been a work of art. So, in other words, the county's paying the Fair Political Practice Commission to oversee its own electives. And I think that's being very proactive.
Every candidate says their top priorities are public safety, roads, water, etc. But they never talk about what they intend to do to address it. What is your plans? Well,
I can share with you when I say that. As a collective team, the hours invested pursuing training. I can say that. You know, we collectively as a staff have hundreds of hours. If we look at what I'm saying, chasing the support for development dollars, if you look at Sandbag as an organization, and if you think about the past 4.5 years of the nightmare coming up and down the pass, well, that's an impact of success. We have to live through it to get to the end result. By the way, May 20th, please come to our groundbreaking. We're going to have the head of transportation from the Assembly, Jim Frazier, down, and that committee for our groundbreaking. The great thing is our pathway to life, as I like to refer to a good part of us, to our 80,000 commuters, is up and down the 15. Well, we're going to have that groundbreaking. You've already seen how seamless it is now to transition into Rancho. And, you know, the right-hand lanes, they have the truck lanes. We're going to have another 6 months of, you know, cleanup work around the site, but the roads will be open after May 20th, and that's going to be a big improvement. We've also seen 2 arteries, east-west, added in the past 4 years, from Rancho Interchange to Nisqually. I mean, that's a 60% increase in our capacity of what we had, improving people's commute time. So you can get off in Hesperia and get home sooner. You can get off Midpoint Victorville and get home sooner. And we're going to have to continue to put not only those, but grade separations. We have the Barstow grade separation. We still need to look at Hellendale, Silver Lakes grade separation. That's going to be on the board that we've been making a great effort within the 220 corridor. And that's a joint power authority between us, Los Angeles County, to build really, if we think about SCLA, George Air Force Base, a highway that's going to go between 395 and into Pondale to the 14. That's really critical. That success of that program will economically change the direction of of their eastern county and our western county that we haven't seen, because one, we have lands there. It's most fallow farmland that's not being used. So your acquisition of that land is going to be low. The development will be low. It's already been developed and worked on. It's not going to be a high, but it'll be a landmark. If you think about, look, the 210 was suspended in the late 70s, the completion. It took all the way until late 2000s to get that completed. Think about having that highway in the next 20 years, in the next 10 years. But parts of it, as it connected, it just becomes an opportunity. The South Coast Air District will continue to push businesses out. We have the beauty of having our own air district. We happen to have a lot of transportation, what they call, air moves, we have winds, so we don't have the same type. Our water's adjudicated in San Bernardino County. We're primed for that development.
So you talked about some of the county challenges in the next few years. Could you be more specific on what kind of challenges the least that you anticipate?
Well, I think we have to do 2 things. And again, you look and you say, we have our electeds for our education. Mm-hmm. It's continuing that outreach and that relationship, because as we've looked at different economic groups, people that are being proactive, not reactive. So, and if you look at Mike Gallo with Kelly Space in San Bernardino, what he's done within their school district, we need to replicate those practices, and that's going back and showing children at a young age career path. And that career path kind of lets them know that there's going to be an opportunity. Well, again, if we don't, we fail. So as an elective, I've got to be just in tune to educational opportunities. It's not. And let me give you an example of what I heard today, really fascinating. Talking to a person who was doing their doctorate work in San Diego and really looking at impoverished kids. And it's not to fund, and I want to be clear, it's not talking about funding a college fund, but it says when you open a college fund, $500 in that account. What's amazing about that is you have young children who are impoverished, poorly educated parents, the opportunity they're going to be challenged to succeed, to not, to break that chain, to have freedom. What's so fascinating with this, those kids, just by having it, now, and what does that mean? Having it means there's hope. Having it means there's something that I can think about starting at this age that if I work at, I'm going to get to. So within just having that, they're 3 times more likely to attend college.
Wow.
They're 4 times more likely to graduate. So, but what are they really basing it on? They're not basing this on because it's a funded program. It's hope. And it's the fact that there's an opportunity to succeed. I don't believe people are alive. I think people look for opportunity, and unless you're completely conditioned without it, but I think when given the alternative, people will succeed. So we collectively have to look at how we collaborate, not only with education, with law enforcement, with our district attorney, with our local city municipal governments. How do we work together to move the entire betterment of the county? Not only the county, but not only the first, but all 5 districts. If you work together, you succeed more than you'll ever work in the park. And it's not a kingdom here or a fiefdom. It's called working together. We do, and there's still stress. And when I mean not so stress within the relationships, but we're still not out of where we've been economically. So municipal governments have not seen a return of revenue as that was in '07. So we have to really be good stewards and have an open door policy to work proactively where we can to ensure that they continue the services and that we have that relationship. And I say that we have an open door policy. And I think many of the cities, in fact all, can say anytime they've called, we've either gone to meet with them or scheduled time for them to come down. And we addressed several questions right when we first came in. We looked at what does a municipal government get back? And so we took that question and we went into our finance department. We said, okay, so let's really study this. Let's take the county as a whole. And here's the interesting thing. For every dollar spent, there's about $8 returned in services. Because the county government is a conduit of federal and state programs. But it's still putting those dollars back. So for every dollar that comes in, if you look at Arrowhead, Arrowhead's a service. If you look at just the broad brush of programs that's then provided back, and we address that. And I say this, we had an individual within finance, took great care of time. We took the time to have meetings and sit down. And so the county provides services back within the communities, both the cities and the unincorporated.
Well, since we're talking about cities and things like that, what's your opinion about eminent domain?
Yeah, I believe most of the time it's a dangerous power to unleash. And I mean, so we can look and go, really, should it be used to, if we look at some landmark decisions, should it be done just to put a business? What is the business that goes there? Do I have a right to take someone's house? I don't think so. If it really becomes a situation where you can't negotiate, but it's a two-way street because most of the time it's done, and it's actually avoided. Most of the time you can negotiate with an owner to a point of that, but I think only in times when it's truly tested can it be used. And at the same time, I don't think we have the right to take people's property. Just unilaterally walk in, and that's what I say. When it's used, it's rarely used, and when it is, we're going to stand against it. Let's take the Desert Protection, the Antiquities Act. We were opposed to that. Not the fact we know our desert, we love our desert, we spend time in the desert, but that's still eventually taking from the public property and they'll quickly find they don't have access to anymore.
Right.
Okay, well that's a taking. So taking as a whole, I don't believe it. But I also believe in property rights. If you want to go in that, I don't think I have a right to tell you how to paint your house or what to do there. If you own a piece of land and you sell it to somebody who wants to develop it, if it's within code, then I think
you should be allowed to.
Absolutely.
I see you have a nice pin right there on your jacket, San Bernardino Strong. It's one of the tragedies that we had here in San Bernardino. And could you tell me, how did you feel during that process? What has been done, at least from your perspective with the board of supervisors, that can eliminate this happening in the future, or just your feelings about the whole situation?
Yeah, I say this. I hope no one ever goes through this. I really don't. I wouldn't wish that, as they say, wouldn't wish it on an enemy. And individually, but I can say with pride, our emergency service got a text in a conference. Immediately, there were two others there, two of the other supervisors there. We were able to get a conference room and basically get connected live in a very short period of time. It's still a state of shock. The comfort is our sheriff. The comfort is our public safety. Realize that Sheriff McMahon in San Bernardino County, men and women, provided over 65% of the response personnel. They provided that. On the second day, our fire took over command center triage from San Bernardino, who again, a smaller city without the resources that were needed. Collectively, the city of San Bernardino, Sheriff McMahon, then the FBI, worked seamlessly to address truly a tragedy. A tragedy I can't wish upon any person to know what it takes place, but you realize people that occupy the same building that you're in are attending a Christmas party. You have a terrorist attack. You have people come in. Now the sad thing is, it won't be till much later, is the true heroes in the room, the men and women who weren't, who fought back, who valiantly fought still when they were completely unarmed for their lives and other lives. There are a lot of heroes that day, and unfortunately we won't know that. But our men and women and the people out front, the people that we expect day in to go out and defend us, exceptional, exceptional. A lot of heroes there, again, that we won't ever really know the true stories. A lot of these men and women will never step forward. Yeah. They'll never want the limelight. They'll never want their name in the paper. They just want to continue to go and protect us from the really bad people in the world. And unfortunately, if we're looking at world events, we're going to have to even be more diligent with our protection as we move forward.
Tell me a little bit more about the budget in the county. Is our budget in line? Is it projected where we want it to be, or do you see some shortfalls coming?
Well, no. Again, we're gonna hear. It's going to be a movie number 5 to 7, 4 to 7, but it was under budget, and I think it's critical. You're fortunate when you start seeing assessments rise. That helps because the assessed values are like any other form of government. Part of its revenue stream. So that's been a big benefit. But at the same time, we've been careful stewards of really managing our budgets and managing cost. The county has been, and I like to say that, we've held fees and checks. We've worked hard on behalf of saying we have to not only control overall growth, but hold this in. And now is truly the time we're going to, as with all business, and government is business, it has a different responsibility in some venues, but in all business, we're going to have to address from 07. Now, let's say we're going on 10 years. Those staffing needs. We're going to have to really look forward at what our costs are going to be, because good companies in the private sectors with best practices are already forecasting that 80 million people that are leaving the workforce, and we're going to have to deal with that. And that means and I say Walmart board of directors did not get up one day and say, I'm going to give everybody a 9%, 8%, 7% pay increase because they thought it was a good thing to do on Thursday morning. No, the same thing we're going to be confronted with: attrition, loss of personnel, retirements. We're going to have to be proactive because that qualified pool is shrinking. Right. Because of, again, it's an age-based. It's any developed age-based country is really going through the same thing, and those that are going to win are going to be the ones that get proactive, find ways to treat people better, and help grow their workforce.
What is being done to bring more jobs to our community?
Our main effort has been this, identifying within, and this has been an effort over the last 12 months, working with EDA, our economic development, identifying. It's kind of interesting you say this. When you look at improved economy, by the way, where's the most expensive place in America to buy a house?
California.
Orange County, Newport Beach.
Oh,
highest cost zip code in America today. Okay, as cost per foot. So my point with that is that's driving coastal and inland community property values. So we're on an effort of reaching out to manufacturing companies that are, one, in cases, their land value now is out, is equal or more than the worth of the company. One, we know they're stressed with job opportunities because we know that it's even more compounded along coastal communities. Then to bring them into our communities and show the fact that we have the land, we have the commuters leaving every day, the qualified workforce, and I got to share with you, I think it's not been said directly, but a lot of those communities, when you look at government and their revenue streams, they'd rather see a super target, they'd rather see a retail center, something that's producing sales revenue, versus a manufacturing that's not producing that same revenue stream. So it can be an opportunity for that business owner. I think many times you'll see government seen as not a pro, and certainly we know we have our arms open here in the desert. I
think some local governments do want more retail stores for the quick revenue. I get that. But more importantly, I would tend to think if you had those manufacturing jobs, it's actually better for the people to have a job down the street or around the corner versus going down the hill spending, 1/4 of their paycheck just on gas.
Well, I agree with you, and that's kind of the key. We have the daily commuters, we have the property. I mean, we still have, when I say that from an economical standpoint, the last 25 years, we have the ingredients, and we've had success, and we will continue to have success. And it's a natural part of really the economy, the dynamics of economy, and that wave's going to come to us. So things will continue to get better. We got to be responsible with development opportunities and ensure that there's smooth transition, but our doors are open and we want good paying jobs right here in the desert.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Absolutely. The opportunity to serve and be a part of this community going on 30 years, and I'm rounding that up, we're at 28. But when I say that opportunity, that commitment's amazing. Raised my family here, my children's gone to school here. We have great neighbors, we're a great community. We have a lot to offer. And I say this, the next decade will be substantially better than the past, and the next 20 after that will even be better. Thank you for your time, thank you for your consideration. I appreciate you having me on your show today. Mr. Smith, it's always a pleasure, Giles. I'll tell you thank you, and I'll come back anytime.
Thank you.